Hello, everybody. Today, Eddie Stone, founder and CEO of Touchstone Essential, is with us. Hello, Eddie.
Hi, Perry. Hello to everyone that's listening.
How are you, Eddie?
Doing fantastic. We've just finished a nice 3-day weekend here in the States, and now we are into our fall season, and we're working hard to make sure we make 2018 the best year that we can.
So, any good news for us in terms of your product?
Oh, I think there's a lot of good news for those that have been paying attention that we recently released 2 products that feature CBD oil. One is called Calm. It's a tinctured product, and then we have a balm rub made with eucalyptus and lavender that's called Soothe. We just continued to get good reports from people that use them. And so even though they've only been in the marketplace for 2 weeks, it's been a lot of fun to talk to people that are enjoying them, and particularly some people with some joint pain and stiffness that are using the Soothe, as well as people dealing with anxiety and sleep problems with the Calm. And so that's always fun for us to know we've worked hard to put something out into the marketplace and people are having a good experience.
Okay. Yesterday I had a show with Ken, okay, and then I have a few questions to ask you from people from my show, okay?
Sure.
Okay, can I start now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, first question from Alexander Nicoli asked, what is CBD oil? Somebody still don't know. What is it, Eddie?
Well, I'll be a little bit brief because we do have other things for this particular show, and they can go back. I can't remember which show that we did, but we've had a whole show on it. But CBD oil is a cannabinoid. It stands for cannabidiol, which is one of the cannabinoids that is found in the cannabis plant. And so when you hear cannabis, a lot of people think of marijuana, and they think of THC, which is also a cannabinoid. But in this case, the way it interacts with the receptors in the body, it tend to make people high. You hear that term often, but basically intoxicated. And it also is renowned for some health benefits. Particularly, it can help people with pain and sometimes associated with helping to fight with glaucoma. But in this case, the cannabis plant is cultivated over time to accentuate different properties. And the one we're looking for here amongst the dozen upon dozen of cannabinoids that you find in the cannabis plant is cannabidiol. And so that's the CBD, what it stands for. And it also reacts with receptor sites in the body through the endocannabinoid system, principally interacting with CB1 and CB2. And it can help with a variety of things. One, it can help with anxiety. Lots of people that use it can feel an improvement in their sleep. I know that's very true for me. Also with digestion, as well as the immune system. So a lot of benefits. So it's fundamentally a compound that's found in the cannabis plant. One of the things that makes it popular is that it does not have the effect of making people intoxicated and has a very wide range of use. It doesn't really have any contraindications, so it's safe. I'm unaware of sort of any side effects. And so, it's like other things. It wouldn't necessarily work for everyone, but my own experience has been probably 8 or 9 people out of 10 that use it have a very positive experience. And so it's a product that comes from the cannabis plant, and they can do more research. They can go to our blog on our website, and that likewise will provide them some articles giving more detail.
So using CBD oil is like 100% safe, right? Nothing to worry about.
Absolutely non-toxic. In our case, our Calm 750 and both our Balm 600 are sold with 0 THC, so there's no risk of intoxication. And it's been used for thousands of years, really, around the globe in all kinds of societies as a part of both medical treatment as well as in religious ceremony. And also, obviously, people have used cannabis for recreational purposes, but CBD oil has a tremendously positive reputation as being safe and non-toxic.
Okay. Next question, Eddie, I would like to ask about the organic food, because yesterday when I did a show with Ken, there is the article saying organic not really safe. Eddie, what do you want to say about this? Because your products, many are organic food too, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I do recognize the controversy, and some people really have some very strong opinions, and I understand where they're coming from. Here's the way I look at it, and this is just my personal opinion, which drives our philosophy from a company standpoint and how we go about looking at things. And that's not to say that everything about organic is perfect. I do understand that, and over time, some of the regulation associated with organic has been watered down or misused. And so I recognize it's not a perfect way to identify food. But if you look at what I would refer to as conventional growing practices, things that are not a part of any sort of organic approach to agriculture and philosophy in terms of using pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, there's just no check and balance in that conventional system on whether it's GMO crops, so that means genetically modified seed, or no check and balance relative to how the growing practices impact the environment. So no practices in terms of water runoff into streams and other things which can cause all kinds of environmental problems. And then the residue that can remain inside the fruit and vegetables can be really detrimental if not handled properly. We choose organic because there is a standard set of practices that would be more environmentally supportive or environmentally friendly, any way you want to refer to it. They would use less of the synthetic herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides, so there's less risk of that residue making it into your kitchen where you're preparing your food. And organic, as defined in the U.S. with the USDA, means that it would not be a GMO, so it's a non-GMO seed base. Now, does that mean somebody couldn't violate those regulations? They certainly could, and that's always a risk no matter what. But when we look at conventional versus organic, we just think it's a better way to assure the safety. It matches up with our values about environmental practices and protections. And generally, we would think of it as being more potent. And so there's a lot of reasons we support it. We do, in our case, use a third-party organization to help us with the verification process called QAI. That's a quality assurance organization, globally recognized. We're intimate with their practices and their policies. And so we believe they can help us to make sure the organic that we're buying to make our products with is as true to that idea that we would have as anything. But we do recognize that that system's imperfect, but we believe it is better than conventional. And so that's one of the reasons we're involved with organic and believe that it makes sense for people that are concerned about these kinds of issues.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's nice to hear that. And then one more question about zeolite and diatomaceous earth. People, they understand that can use this, I can call it DE, can use it to replace like zeolite. What is it exactly?
Well, DE has been around a long time. It comes from the decay of the exoskeleton, sort of the skeletal system of certain bugs, let's just call it. I mean, there's more technical descriptions, and so it's been around a long time. And it has principally a reputation as an exfoliator, or also, I mean, it's got quite a few sort of reputations, but also as a natural bug control or bug killer. And so that's one of the reputations that it has. I mean, it's actually, known as killer bug in some societies. And it has more of an effect of like a broom, say, than a sponge that we would associate with a zeolite. To the best of my knowledge, it does not have a negative charge inside of a porous structure. And so one of the nice things about the zeolite is, in fact, it is the only natural mineral that I know of that is able to maintain a negative charge inside its pore, which gives it that sort of magnetic quality to absorb heavy metals, environmental pollutants, volatile organics that have a positive charge. It has a negative charge, so like the north and the south end of a magnet. And so I do not believe that the two are the same. There may be good reasons that someone would choose to use a DE. They should definitely make sure that they're using a food grade product and not one designed to act as a fertilizer or a bug killer in agriculture. But to say that they are the same as zeolite is a misstatement. I can certainly understand because it's a white powder and it sort of has a similar look to it. But when you dive into the science, look under the microscope, and you can see that it's not the same. Actually, it just has an appearance that's the same. And so one would not expect the type of detoxification that you would find at both the cellular level in the blood and the soft tissue. It could act as a broom or a sweep as it went through the digestive system or the digestive tract, and in that way helping to push out toxins, but it is not the same as a zeolite. So that isn't to say that it can't be useful. I know there are people that believe in it as a product, but it isn't one that I would use or that I recommend, because I believe the zeolite is just more efficient at accomplishing the goal of detox, particularly paying attention to it at the cellular level.
Okay, thank you. Eddie, my question is done. You have something to tell us today, right?
Yeah, you and I have been speaking about these sort of general health issues for us to think about. So we've, talked about alternative ways to animals to get protein, right? So we've talked about grains, and certainly recognize fruits and vegetables can also be excellent alternatives. And we've talked about belly bloat and issues with a constant chronic indigestion and heartburn. And so today I wanted us to just take a moment and talk about dehydration. For a lot of people, they might recognize that, say, an athlete, soccer players or others that are in athletic endeavors, they get on the field, they get hot, they get cramps, they become dehydrated. And so it's important for them to think about electrolytes and getting plenty of water. But they don't really recognize that for you and I, just regular folks that aren't professional athletes, dehydration is also a very real issue with health consequences. And, some of the places where that really can show up is, one would be, say, dry skin. A lot of people don't realize that some of the dry skin issues that we hear so much about can be at least partially solved by just making sure you're getting enough clean water into your diet. And if you're a person that consumes, say, sodas or a lot of juices or things of this kind, that isn't the same. That doesn't hydrate the body in the same way as good, clean water. And I know for a lot of adults, they don't really enjoy drinking water, and so they have to really sort of make themselves do it, but it's something they should do. And particularly if you're struggling with some dry skin, something to give a try rather than always turning to an ointment or a drug is to consider, are you getting enough water? The second big point, this one is maybe the most common that I come in contact with, is people are complaining about chronic fatigue or a lack of energy. And part of that comes from the cell starving for an adequate amount of water. And it's surprising for many people, if they force themselves to go drink an 8 or a 10 ounce or 12 ounce glass of water, how quickly their energy level can return. And they just get into a habit probably of using high sugar or high caffeine drinks, things like that, to pump up their energy. But water can be a very reliable way to do that. And so if you're someone that finds yourself sort of chronically fatigued and tired, give a try to having water, particularly in between meals. I'm not a big advocate of having a lot of water during a meal. I think before and after digestion is the right way to approach that, but it can also be an answer for a lack of energy and fatigue. And then maybe the third thing to mention is chronic constipation. For a lot of people that struggle to go to the restroom, it can in part be diet, right? If most of what someone eats is a cooked diet, ultra-processed foods that really lacks fiber, that can contribute to problems associated with constipation, but also a lack of water. And so I do encourage people that are dealing with constipation, before you use a stool softener or a laxative, try for a few days getting an adequate amount of water, because that can make a big difference. And so constipation can be relieved. And in that same vein, digestion as well. Now, again, let me just state that I discourage people from having a lot of water or really any kind of beverage immediately during the meal. You want to allow things to sort of stew in the belly to aid in digestion, let those enzymes not be diluted and really work in breaking down your food. But if you have water in between meals, it will help you with digestion, just as relieving constipation and allowing the bowel to work properly will likewise relieve that. For a lot of people dealing with those kind of issues, they have a transit time from when they eat to when things exit their body that can exceed as many as 48 hours, more than 2 days. And that's not healthy. Things get trapped in the bowel, particularly animal products, and they become rancid. If you've eaten animal products and bread with gluten, that gluten actually acts sticky and can cause things to stick in the bowel. And we get a lot of colorectal cancer issues. And so water can help the body sort of push those things out. You'd like your transit time to be well under 48 hours. And really this leads into maybe a fourth issue to mention, which is weight gain. Because typically people that are fighting sort of digestive issues and constipation and all this kind of stuff, fatigue even, they'll wind up eating more than they probably need to, or they normally would even desire, because they're trying to find sort of this carnal desire or way to feed energy into their body. And so I encourage people that are dealing with weight gain, make sure whatever practices you have. So just like you were just had a nice experience on the Transformation Challenge. During that Transformation Challenge, we encourage people to add extra water to their diet. And it serves a couple of purposes. One, it causes everything to work more efficiently in the body, but you can confuse dehydration for hunger pains. And so when your body's properly hydrated, you would have a tendency to feel fuller sooner. Even for myself, if I find myself mid to late afternoon, I've been doing calls like this and working away and not really thinking a whole lot about it. I might say, gosh, I'm sort of hungry, and it's too early to be hungry, and I'll go drink a glass of water, and it will really relieve that hunger. So I was really just thirsty. I just didn't identify it in that way. And so I do encourage people for particularly if you're trying to lose weight, but manage your weight as well, make sure you're getting plenty of water. Then maybe the last one is that's not talked a lot about is that joint pain and stiffness can also be associated with dehydration. And it probably would make sense to most people. You get a concentration of fluids and not enough water to help the body function properly, help to move. Some of these swelling and neutrophils and other things that gather in sites of injury that cause pain and redness and inflammation. And so it can help out likewise with that issue. And then, when you put it all together, right, we're talking about dry skin, fatigue, constipation, digestive issues, weight gain, and then joint pain and stiffness. And so there's a lot of reasons to really pay attention to the water you consume and getting an adequate amount, and that dehydration is important if you're just trying to build, right? What I always want to talk about is building your health habits, right? And so, currently, if you don't really drink water during the day, maybe trying to add 1 glass in the morning and 1 glass in the afternoon is sort of a good way to start. And then here's my advice on the water itself. And boy, I know just like on your show, you've had people with strong opinions about zeolite or CBD oil and things like that. Water will probably equally invite a lot of very strong opinions. So for me, it starts with making sure the water you consume is free of toxins. And so know your source, right? If you're getting it from a city source, then probably having at least a simple carbon filtration system is a good idea. You can certainly go, there's more aggressive filters that can make a big impact, but even something as simple as a carbon filter, if you're drinking city water, can help to reduce the amount of impurities that you find in it. If you are drinking natural spring-sourced water, make sure somewhere along the way there was some testing to just make sure that spring is clean. The majority of spring water sources in the world are clean, but not all of them. And you want to understand that. And so make sure that's been tested. My favorite water is natural spring water, untreated. So, a good source is what I prefer because of the native minerals that you find in that water, those trace minerals. And so that's sort of my favorite source. I know there are people that utilize reverse osmosis. That's not my preference because it removes principally the minerals, but it certainly can be a clean source of water. In the same token, there are people that use distilled water. And for the same reason, I'm not a big fan of reverse osmosis. I prefer to have the minerals in the water. And of course, where you can really take this is structured water. And there'll be all kinds of people with strong opinions about structured water advice. I know that structured water can be very helpful One of my worries is that I do see sometimes the claims about it are pretty difficult to believe to be true, and it can be extremely expensive. And so I just tell folks, try to have a good source of clean water with no toxins, and that's a great way to build a new health habit.
I feel thirsty immediately. I need to
If you're
drink.
thirsty, drink some water, right? It should be that simple.
Yeah, Eddie, like how much we should drink for one person? I mean, and is there any minimum?
Yeah, I hear often, and then I also see, though, information to refute, trying to have, half your ounce body weight in water. So, conceivably that would mean you would have, say, 8 to 10 glasses a day if you had sort of normal adult body weight. I don't know that there's really any decided peer-reviewed clinical research to have us pin that down. And so for me, I tell folks, if you're at least getting 4 to 6 glasses of 8, 10, 12 ounces of water per day, that seems to be accepted by most medical scientific papers around the globe as a good place to start. You may have a lifestyle that means you should have more, and that's probably a great idea. If you're trying to lose weight, maybe more is a great idea. But if you're at least getting 4 to 6 glasses at, say, 8, 10, 12 ounces per glass, you're probably in a good place. And if that's making you feel good, your energy level's high, you sleep well, then that's probably something on target. But just listen to your body. Always listen to your body and pay attention to the conditions you're in. If I were in a hot, summery place and outside working, I would need more, right? If you're working indoor in an AC, probably need a little bit less, but make sure you're getting enough.
And what if someone takes too much water? What will happen to their body?
Well, on rare situations, it can cause health issues, but those are really extreme issues where people are, just going overboard with water. They can almost literally drown their organs, particularly if their renal function isn't proper. And so you might think of someone that has heat exhaustion, and they go into sort of a crisis. Perhaps they pass out, and someone's trying to hydrate them, giving them water, but the person's not able to use the restroom. The renal function has shut down. They can actually drown their organs with the consumption of water. But that's so rare that for most people, they'll just probably notice they go to the bathroom too frequently. And that's maybe a sign that, if I've gone to the bathroom 2 or 3 times in the last hour, I've probably had enough water for a little while. And so it can be pretty simple in that regard. But for people with renal issues and maybe medical concerns in this area, they should probably consult with their physician and educate themselves on what are good water intake targets and what are the signs to pay attention to when maybe they've had too little or too much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Eddie, I will go get some water later. Thank you very much for being with us today. I see
Thank you, Perry.
Tuesday. Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye. Thank you.